What if the seafood choices you have trusted for decades were quietly steering your health in the wrong direction? Across research labs from Boston to Tokyo, scientists are surfacing revelations that sound like fiction. Certain ocean foods appear to accelerate joint breakdown, elevate blood pressure, and cloud the mind, while others act almost like prescriptions for healing. For older adults, this is not trivia, it is urgent. New analyses suggest that 3 out of 4 people past 60 routinely eat the wrong fish. One seemingly wholesome option has been tied to a nearly 1/3 jump in memory problems, and almost no one knows the single best seafood for soothing inflammation, protecting cartilage, and restoring vitality. The industry would prefer these findings stay buried in technical journals. We will not. Today, we strip away the marketing and talk plainly about 4 ocean choices that behave like medicine, and 4 that belong far from your plate. One of the worst culprits sends tens of thousands of older adults to emergency rooms every year, while the top must-eat pick is associated with rolling back biological aging by as much as 15 years. Before we dive in, ask yourself 2 questions. Have you noticed new, unexplained joint pain or lapses in memory? And how many seafood meals do you eat in an average week? Share in the comments. My team reads every story and replies with tailored suggestions. Now let us begin, starting with a so-called delicacy that can turn a celebration into a medical crisis. Raw oysters from warm waters. The romance of a chilled platter hides a threat that older adults cannot afford to underestimate. In balmy coastal regions, oysters can harbor Vibrio vulnificus, a bacterium that thrives as water temperatures climb. This is not simple food poisoning. In susceptible bodies, especially after 60, when immune defenses naturally wane, Vibrio can invade the bloodstream and trigger a fast-moving, life-threatening infection called septicemia. Surveillance reports show that most fatalities occur in people past 60, and the risk soars for anyone with type 2 diabetes or liver disease. The early clues are deceptively mild: a sour stomach, a few chills, a touch of fever. Within a day, the storm can break. Raging shivers, high fever, and distinctive bullous skin lesions that look like blood-filled blisters. Once the bacteria enter the circulation, they multiply with astonishing speed, overwhelming the body's defenses. Does that mean oysters are off-limits forever? Not if you cook them thoroughly. Heat neutralizes Vibrio. Steaming for at least 5 minutes, or grilling until the shell opens and the flesh is firm, dramatically lowers the risk. If you love briny shellfish, swap the raw bar for a pot of cooked mussels. You still get zinc and vitamin B12, minus the roulette. I think of James, a retired banker in his late 60s, who marked an anniversary with a dozen raw oysters at his favorite spot. By midnight, he was shaking uncontrollably with a 104-degree fever. In the emergency department, doctors recognized the pattern within moments. Aggressive antibiotics and intensive care saved his life, but he spent 2 months in rehabilitation and lost several toes to the infection. Today, he eats his oysters char-grilled and urges his golf group to do the same. The lesson is not to fear the ocean, it is to respect it, and to choose wisely. Next on the list of seafoods to avoid if you are past 60, king mackerel. It is a striking fish, long and gleaming, and it often looks like the epitome of health on the fishmonger's ice. But beneath its impressive appearance lies a danger that builds slowly, invisibly, and sometimes irreversibly: mercury. King mackerel sits high in the food chain. Each time it devours a smaller fish, it absorbs the mercury stored in that prey. Over years, its flesh becomes a concentrated reservoir of methylmercury, a neurotoxin with devastating consequences for aging brains. Unlike some contaminants that pass quickly through the body, mercury lingers. It weaves its way into brain tissue, striking precisely where memory and coordination reside. A Harvard study of more than 1,000 older adults painted a grim picture. Those who ate king mackerel regularly experienced cognitive decline at rates nearly 1/3 faster than their peers who chose low-mercury seafood. Blood samples revealed mercury levels double the safety threshold established by the Environmental Protection Agency. The progression of symptoms is stealthy. At first, it might be something so subtle you dismiss it. Hands trembling as you lift a coffee cup, a nagging sense of mental fog that makes you forget why you entered a room. But slowly the toxin attacks the nervous system. It leads to peripheral neuropathy, a permanent nerve injury that makes feet feel numb, tingling, or endlessly asleep. The good news, there are alternatives. Atlantic mackerel contains 75% less mercury, offering omega-3 fatty acids without the neurological gamble. Even safer are wild salmon and sardines, each packed with heart and brain benefits and nearly free of mercury accumulation. If you have been eating king mackerel for years, speak with your doctor. A heavy metal blood test can reveal hidden levels. Chelation therapy may draw out some of the mercury, but once nerve damage is established, it rarely reverses fully. Consider Margaret, a retired teacher in her early 70s. Twice a week she grilled king mackerel steaks, believing she was making the kind of healthy choice nutritionists applaud. Within half a year she noticed her hands betraying her, dropping utensils, fumbling with doorknobs. Then her memory faltered. She forgot the names of her grandchildren, something she had never done before. Alarmed, her daughter insisted on a medical evaluation. Blood tests told the story. Her mercury levels had soared to more than 4 times the safe range. Months of chelation therapy improved her balance and steadied her grip, but the memory gaps lingered. Margaret now teaches cooking classes, warning others of her mistake. Her lesson is simple but powerful. The wrong fish can quietly erode the very faculties you depend on most, and this problem does not end with mackerel. Another seemingly harmless seafood, cheap, abundant, and found in nearly every supermarket freezer, hides. Dangers that no older adult should ignore. Imported shrimp from Asia. For decades, shrimp has been sold as the perfect quick protein. Affordable, versatile, and always available in heaping bags at the supermarket. But here's the unsettling reality. More than 90% of shrimp in American stores comes from overseas farms in places like Vietnam, Thailand, and China. These are not clean coastal fisheries. They are sprawling industrial ponds, often no bigger than a football field, where thousands of shrimp are crammed together in murky water that doubles as a chemical dumping ground. Consumer Reports testing exposed a scandal most people never hear about. 60% of imported shrimp carried residues of banned antibiotics. These drugs include chloramphenicol, a compound so dangerous it can trigger fatal aplastic anemia, and nitrofurans, linked directly to cancer. Think about what that means for an older adult. By 60, the immune system is already weaker, the kidneys and liver work slower, and resilience to toxins is lower. Add in a steady stream of tainted shrimp, and you have the perfect recipe for long-term damage. The farms themselves look like something out of a dystopian nightmare. Shrimp are packed 100 per square meter, their only chance of survival coming from constant chemical bombardment. Antibiotics to fight disease, pesticides to repel parasites, and hormones to accelerate growth. A Texas investigation analyzed hundreds of imported shrimp samples and uncovered residues of over 160 veterinary drugs, including 11 banned entirely from food production. When you eat these shrimp, those chemicals don't just vanish. They accumulate in your liver and kidneys, the very organs that weaken with age. The result? Persistent nausea, mysterious skin rashes, and fatigue that refuses to lift, no matter how much you rest. Long-term, your risk of antibiotic-resistant infections skyrockets, up to 4 times higher. The safer choice is wild-caught shrimp from the Gulf of Mexico or the Atlantic coast. Yes, the price tag is steeper, sometimes triple what you'd pay for the imported kind. But ask yourself, what is your health worth? Frozen wild-caught shrimp are widely available and still maintain their nutrition. If the budget feels tight, buy smaller portions, but focus on purity. Robert, a veteran in his mid-60s, learned this lesson the hard way. Living on a fixed income, he chose the cheaper imported bags every week. After 8 months, he developed a skin infection that resisted every antibiotic his doctor tried. It wasn't until he mentioned his shrimp habit that tests uncovered the culprit. Residues of chloramphenicol had compromised his immune systems to produce white blood cells. 4 months of grueling recovery left permanent scars on his arms. Today, Robert calls wild-caught shrimp his special treat and refuses to gamble with the imported kind ever again. His story stands as a stark warning. Saving a few dollars at the seafood counter can cost you years of your health. But the shrimp scandal isn't even the worst offender. The #1 seafood to avoid has been marketed as healthy, affordable, and heart-friendly. But for older adults, it's the equivalent of eating fire disguised as water. Here it is, #1 on the list of seafoods older adults should never touch: farm-raised tilapia. For years, it has been marketed as the affordable health choice, a lean, versatile protein that fits into almost any diet. But the truth is brutal. Farm-raised tilapia is not a neutral food. It is an inflammatory bomb that fuels the very diseases you are fighting to avoid as you age. The problem lies in its omega profile. A healthy balance should be 1-to-1 between omega-3 and omega-6 fatty acids. Farm-raised tilapia flips that balance upside down, with a disastrous 11-to-1 ratio. That imbalance sets off systemic inflammation throughout the body, inflaming joints, stiffening arteries, and even accelerating cognitive decline. Researchers at Wake Forest University went as far as to call tilapia more inflammatory than bacon. Imagine thinking you were making the virtuous choice, only to be sabotaging your health more than if you had chosen a cheeseburger. And then there is the way these fish are raised. In overcrowded concrete tanks in China and beyond, tilapia are fed a diet that includes corn, soy, and even chicken feces. Yes, you read that right. Chicken waste is routinely added to the feed because it is cheap and accelerates growth. With less than 2% of imported tilapia inspected by federal agencies, toxic contaminants slip through unchecked. A Johns Hopkins study found cancer-causing dioxins at levels more than 10 times higher than safety limits. These dioxins accumulate in fat tissue and organs, burdening older bodies that already process toxins less efficiently. The health effects are devastating. Joint pain that refuses to ease. Brain fog that clouds independence. Cardiovascular stress that brings you one meal closer to a heart attack. For older adults with compromised detoxification systems, farm-raised tilapia is a silent accelerant of decline. There are safer options: wild-caught pollock, Pacific rockfish, or even canned wild salmon, all of which deliver omega-3 power without toxic baggage. The story of Dr. Patricia Williams drives the point home. A respected cardiologist in her late 60s, she believed she was practicing what she preached by eating tilapia 4 nights a week. Within a year, her arthritis had become so severe she could no longer operate. Blood work revealed her inflammatory markers were off the charts. Her C-reactive protein was nearly 10 times the normal level. Once she eliminated tilapia and replaced it with wild salmon, her inflammation plummeted by 85% in just 6 months. She was able to return to the operating room, and now she warns colleagues that tilapia is the cigarette of the seafood world. So far, we have revealed the 4 seafoods older adults should avoid at all costs: raw oysters, king mackerel, imported shrimp, and farm-raised tilapia. But not all ocean foods are enemies. In fact, some are allies so powerful that they can strengthen bones, sharpen memory, and even regenerate cartilage. It is time to flip the script and discover the 4 seafoods you must eat if you want to stay vibrant after 60. The list of seafoods older adults must eat. Pacific sardines. They may look small and unassuming, but do not let their size fool you. These tiny fish are nutritional juggernauts, packing more healing compounds per bite than foods 3 times their cost. For people over 60, sardines are not just food. They are protection against the slow creep of bone loss, heart strain, and fading memory. 1 serving of sardines contains more bioavailable calcium than a glass of milk, more vitamin D than fortified cereals, and more coenzyme Q10 than many of the supplements that drain wallets. What makes sardine calcium unique is the package it arrives in: soft edible bones paired with vitamin D and phosphorus, creating the perfect environment for absorption. Unlike calcium pills, which often cause kidney stones, sardines deliver minerals the way nature intended. The science is compelling. Stanford researchers followed over 1,000 postmenopausal women. Those who ate sardines twice a week boosted their bone density by 4% annually, while women relying on supplements saw no gains at all. The secret? Whole food synergy. Every nutrient in sardines complements another, working like an orchestra to strengthen bones and protect the heart. And because sardines swim low on the food chain, eating only plankton, their mercury content is almost non-existent, 90% below safety thresholds. That means you can enjoy them daily without worrying about toxic buildup. Their omega-3 levels rival salmon, delivering essential EPA and DHA, fatty acids that calm inflammation and nourish the brain. In fact, a Portuguese study of 800 older adults showed that regular sardine eaters cut cardiovascular events by nearly 40% and scored 15% higher on cognitive tests. The practical benefits are undeniable. Wild-caught sardines, especially those packed in olive oil or water, are inexpensive and shelf-stable. Avoid versions in soybean oil, which add inflammatory omega-6s. Eat them mashed with avocado for a creamy spread, stirred into pasta, or straight from the can with whole grain crackers. If the texture intimidates you, start with skinless, boneless varieties and gradually work up to whole sardines for maximum nutrition. Consider Frank, a retired postal worker in his 70s. He suffered from severe osteoporosis and endured painful, expensive treatments with no improvement. Out of desperation, he began adding sardines to his lunches, 1 can at a time. 6 months later, his bone scan revealed something astonishing: a 3% increase in density, the first improvement in years. His vitamin D levels normalized naturally, and his joint pain eased dramatically. Frank is now in his mid-70s, still mobile, still independent, and still eating sardines almost every day. He even convinced his poker buddies to join him, proudly calling themselves the Sardine Club. But sardines are only the beginning. There is another fish that stands head and shoulders above the rest, one that swims upstream with the power to repair age-related damage at the cellular level. Number 3 on the list of must-eat seafoods for older adults is wild-caught Alaskan salmon. Think of it as medicine disguised as a meal. Unlike its farm-raised counterpart, which is plagued with contaminants and stripped of nutrients, wild salmon is a living pharmacy delivered straight from icy northern waters. Its vibrant red flesh is not just pretty, it is a sign of one of the most powerful antioxidants on Earth, astaxanthin. This compound is 6,000 times more potent than vitamin C, and unlike most antioxidants, it crosses the blood-brain barrier, directly shielding neurons from oxidative damage. The science is staggering. Japanese researchers tracked 500 adults over 65 for 8 years. Those who consumed wild salmon twice weekly showed 40% less cognitive decline than those who did not. Their brain scans revealed preserved grey matter and improved blood flow, markers that usually erode with age. For anyone fearing the creeping shadow of cognitive decline, salmon offers hope that tastes delicious. But the benefits do not stop at the brain. Wild salmon is rich in selenium, a trace mineral essential for thyroid health. Many older adults suffer from thyroid slowdowns without realizing it, chalking up fatigue, weight gain, or brittle nails to just aging. Selenium works in harmony with omega-3s to lower inflammation markers. A UCLA study found that older adults who ate wild salmon regularly had C-reactive protein levels cut in half compared to those who ate farm-raised versions. Vitamin D is another secret weapon. 1 serving of wild salmon delivers around 1,000 international units, addressing the deficiency that plagues 75% of people past 60. Norwegian studies show that regular salmon eaters reduce their risk of dangerous falls by nearly 1/4, thanks to stronger muscles and steadier balance. That means fewer fractures, fewer hospital visits, and more independence. Choosing the right salmon matters. Copper River sockeye and Alaskan king salmon boast the highest omega-3 content with the lowest contaminants. Grill with lemon and herbs, bake with vegetables, or even buy canned wild salmon for patties. It all counts. Aim for 2 modest servings weekly, about 6 ounces each. Take Eleanor, a 70-year-old grandmother who faced an early diagnosis of cognitive decline. The medications prescribed left her with unbearable side effects, so her daughter searched for alternatives. They began incorporating wild Alaskan salmon into meals 4 times a week. Within 2 months, Eleanor's word-finding improved, her mood stabilized, and her memory returned in noticeable ways. After 1 year, scans showed improved blood flow and reduced inflammation in her brain. Today, at 75, Eleanor is sharper than many colleagues 20 years her junior. She even leads cooking classes at her local senior center, proudly teaching recipes she calls brain food for the wise. And salmon is not the only ocean cure. There is another seafood, rarer and almost mystical in its healing powers, that has been shown to literally rebuild cartilage and restore mobility. Number 2 on the list of seafoods older adults must eat: green-lipped mussels from the pristine waters of New Zealand. At first glance, they look like ordinary shellfish with their striking emerald edges, but inside lies one of nature's most extraordinary anti-inflammatory weapons. These mussels contain compounds so powerful that pharmaceutical companies have tried and failed to replicate them in labs. What makes green-lipped mussels unique is a class of omega-3 fatty acids called ETAS, or eicosapentaenoic acids. Found nowhere else in nature, ETAs are 200 times more effective at reducing inflammation than the omega-3s in standard fish oil. For older adults struggling with joint pain, arthritis, or limited mobility, these mussels offer more than relief. They offer restoration. The evidence is dramatic. Australian researchers studied 400 arthritis patients and discovered that extracts from green-lipped mussels reduced pain scores by nearly 90% and improved mobility by 91% in just 12 weeks. Even more astonishing, New Zealand trials with 300 older adults revealed actual cartilage regeneration in almost half the participants, something once thought impossible without surgery. Imagine rebuilding the very cushion between your bones simply by adding a seafood dish to your diet. But that is not all. Green-lipped mussels are rich in glycosaminoglycans, the very compounds found in human joint fluid. They also provide natural chondroitin and glucosamine in perfect ratios, beating any supplement you can buy at the pharmacy. Add to that their abundance of bioavailable iron, manganese for bone formation, and copper for collagen production, and you have a shellfish that works like a full-spectrum joint treatment. How to eat them? Buy frozen New Zealand mussels if fresh is unavailable, and always look for shells that are bright green and tightly closed. Steam them with garlic and white wine, stir them into pasta, or simmer them into a chowder. Twice weekly is enough for maintenance, but during arthritis flare-ups, daily servings may provide faster relief. Supplements made from freeze-dried mussel powder are also available for those who cannot find them locally. Michael, a retired construction foreman in his late 60s, had reached the point where walking to his mailbox felt like torture. Knee replacement surgery was scheduled. Out of desperation, he tried green-lipped mussels daily after a tip from his physical therapist. 6 weeks later, he cancelled his surgery consultation. His pain had dropped by 75%, and he was walking his dog again. 6 months later, X-rays showed increased joint space, clear evidence of cartilage regrowth. Today, at 71, Michael runs a small business importing green-lipped mussels so others can experience the transformation he did. He has not taken a pain pill in 4 years. If mussels can heal joints, what could possibly top them? Believe it or not, the answer lies in one of the ocean's most mysterious creatures, a food so potent it has been shown to reverse brain shrinkage and restore muscle strength after 60. Number 1 on the must-eat list, wild Mediterranean octopus. This is not just seafood, it is a neurological and muscular regeneration system that science is only beginning to grasp. For older adults facing the twin battles of fading memory and shrinking muscle mass, octopus might be the closest thing nature offers to a reset button. The protein quality is unmatched. octopus delivers all 9 essential amino acids in perfect ratios, rebuilding tissue with an efficiency no supplement can rival. Per calorie, it provides more complete protein than any other seafood. And then there is taurine, a compound found in octopus at levels 16 times higher than salmon. Taurine shields the heart, a critical safeguard since 1 in 4 older adults faces heart failure risk. But the true magic lies in its impact on the brain. Octopus is packed with copper, a mineral often deficient in 70% of seniors, yet essential for neurotransmitter production. Without enough copper, memory slips and mood regulation falter. Italian researchers studying Mediterranean fishing villages discovered something remarkable. Older octopus fishermen consistently scored 45% higher on cognitive tests than inland populations. The secret wasn't genetics, it was diet. Octopus also contains unique peptides that stimulate growth hormone production, reversing the muscle wasting that accelerates after 60. A Greek study on 200 seniors revealed that those who ate octopus regularly increased lean muscle mass by 12% and grip strength by 30% in just 6 months, without any changes in exercise. Add to that a vitamin B12 content, 6 times the daily requirement, delivered with compounds that ensure absorption even in those with reduced stomach acid, and you have one of the most potent anti-aging foods on Earth. Preparation matters. Choose wild-caught Mediterranean octopus, which has the cleanest nutrient profile. Tenderize by freezing overnight, then slow cook in tomato sauce, grill with olive oil and lemon, or prepare Spanish-style with paprika. For those uneasy about the texture, start with baby octopus before moving to larger varieties. A weekly serving is enough to see profound benefits. Take the story of Dr. Maria Castellanos, a 72-year-old psychiatrist terrified by her memory lapses. Brain scans showed early hippocampal shrinkage, a red flag for cognitive decline. Searching for answers, she turned to Mediterranean traditions and began eating grilled octopus 3 times a week, taught by her Greek neighbor. Within 4 months, her memory sharpened noticeably. After 1 year, follow-up scans revealed something once thought impossible: increased hippocampal volume, essentially reversing the shrinkage. Her neurologist was stunned. Now 75, Maria continues her psychiatric practice sharper than ever, crediting octopus with saving both her career and her independence. The truth is clear. After 60, the body punishes poor choices more harshly, but it also rewards the right ones more dramatically. Choosing the wrong seafood can mean pain, memory loss, or even a trip to the emergency room. But choosing wisely can restore vitality, clarity, and strength in ways once thought impossible. So here is the challenge: replace farm-raised tilapia with sardines. Skip imported shrimp and enjoy green-lipped mussels instead. Grill wild Alaskan salmon instead of king mackerel. Add Mediterranean octopus to your weekly routine. The ocean offers both poison and medicine. It is up to you which plate you choose. Your future self will thank you with stronger bones, sharper thoughts, and pain-free movement. Now, we want to hear from you. Which seafoods have you been eating without realizing the risks or the life-changing benefits? Did any of today's revelations surprise you? Share your stories in the comments.